And then we can see that putrefaction is also associated with another thing. It's known as the succession that happens in a dead body. The succession that happens in a dead body. Now, when we talk about this succession, we need to go back to the previous lesson where we have learned about ecological succession. Because here we are going to compare the succession that happens on a dead body with the succession that happens on a land area or in a newly exposed area. Because a newly dead body, a newly found dead body, is somewhat very similar to a newly exposed land area, where the new organisms may appear, the opportunists will appear, the pioneer species will appear, which will be followed by several other organisms until the establishment of a climax community. So, similarly, a newly dead body, a fresh dead body, we can say, it's like a newly exposed area. So, we can compare it with the first stage of succession, primary succession, that is nudation. I hope you remember this term, nudation, that is the exposure of a new area. Okay. So similarly, a dead body, a newly dead body, we can say a dead person, and a fresh dead body, which is like exposing a new area for the invasion of the organisms, other living organisms. So naturally, the first organism or the primary invader or the pioneer species that come to this body will be from within, that is the anaerobic bacteria that is found within the gut of the person. Okay. So here is the bacteria that usually start invading the body, and once the bacteria start decomposition or the first stages of decay start setting, then which will be like emanating a kind of scent or a smell from the dead body, an odor that goes out of the dead body, which start attracting the flies and other insects. So it is usually the flies that come after the bacteria, or the second kind of organism, second species of organism that invade the dead body will be usually the flies. There are different types of flies that visit a dead body and then increase the rate of decomposition, we can say. So these stages through which the organisms appear and disappear from the body, we compare it with the primary succession, and we call it the succession that happens in a dead body. So, in any part of the world, usually when a person dies, the first flies that appear on the dead body will be some species of blowflies. It seems like blowflies are very sensitive to the odors that come from the dead body. So they usually find a dead body. If a dead body is present outside, exposed, then they are quite fast. If it is daytime, they can reach the dead body within 5 minutes of death. That fast they can arrive. And there are several factors that affect the arrival of the blowfly, like the exposure of the body and the surrounding temperatures and the time of the day, like day or night, because blowflies are not very active at night. So if the death occurs during daytime and if the body is exposed during daytime, immediately the blowflies can identify the location of the body and they arrive on site and they start laying their eggs on the dead body. So a dead body is a very nice location for them to proliferate, because when they lay their eggs, the eggs hatch out and the maggots come out. By the time the maggots come out, the body will be in a decomposing state and the maggots can directly feed on the decaying flesh, the liquid flesh that comes out of the dead body. So the blowflies arrive on the dead body and they start laying eggs on the various orifices of the body. Various orifices. Orifices are the natural openings of the body, like the openings of the nose, the mouth, the ear, eyes, or the anal or other openings of the body. So all these openings are the attractive places for the blowflies, and if there are wounds on the body, it is especially more attractive, because the flies are attracted to the wounds and the smell of the blood and the liquid which is oozing out of the wounds will be more attractive for them. So they immediately find the location for laying their eggs and they start laying the eggs around these orifices or around the gashes or wounds that is found on the dead body. So here are the blowflies. There are different types of blowflies which are known as the blue bottles or green bottles, etc., which are larger than the normal housefly, and they arrive on the dead body as soon as the death occurs. Here is are some pictures. Here the green bottles. These are the blue bottles and these are the green bottles. And then here, this picture shows the fly eggs that is attached to the hair of a mammal. You see the fly eggs, and then the larval instar 1, the first instar of the larval stage. As soon as the eggs hatch out, they will appear something like this. And then it's followed by instar 2. Instar 2, you can see here, the maggots feed on the decaying flesh and they grow very fast depending upon the temperature. Because temperature affect greatly the growth rate of the larvae. So instar 2 followed by instar 3, now they are ready to pupate. The pupa will form and then the cycle will repeat. You can see here the pre-pupa. This is the maggot grown to the maximum size and it is about to pupate. It's already ready for pupating, and here are the pupa with the hard cases around them. You can see the hard cases around them. This is the pupal stage, and once they completed this stage, the pupa hatch out and the flies come out. And once the blowflies feed on the dead body, it will change the dead body in such a way that it will be suitable for the arrival of other insects too. And usually blowflies are followed by the rock beetle. You can see here the rock beetle and histo beetle, etc. So by the time the beetles arrive on the dead body, almost the dead body start drying. The decomposition stage passes into the dry stage, and that is when the beetles arrive. And by the time the maggots will be tired of eating this dead body and they will be like migrating, or rest of them die on the dead body because there is no more liquid to feed on. And here the histo beetle wrestling with the maggot, you can see. The histo beetles are usually coming to feed on the maggots of the flies. Okay, that is how succession occurs. One organism come, they feed on that dead body, then they lay their eggs, which provide food for some other organism. So they come and feed on that. It's like establishing a food chain and a feeding relationship. So the histo beetles are coming for feeding on the maggots, the larvae of the blowflies. And then the carrion beetle with the maggot in its jaws. You can see that all these beetles come here because they get plenty of food, that is the maggots of the blowfly. And this is followed by another beetle which is known as the hide beetle, and the hide beetle larva is here. Hide beetle, as the name indicates, it feeds on the tough keratinized skin of the dead body, which is usually a little bit late for decaying. So the hide beetle usually feeds on the tough skin that is found on the drying dead body. And then here is the harm beetle, the carcass beetle, all of them feeding with a frenzy on the dead body. And here, once the dry stage followed, then comes the rest of the organisms, mite, parasitoid wasp, etc. And then once all the remains gone, only hair, teeth, bone, etc., the ones which will not decay so easily, all those part of the body only remains, and the rest of the insects are also gone. Then comes the moths who feed on the hair. The various body parts and the hair that remains will be fed on by these moths. Now, next what we are going to see is the stages of decomposition as studied by some forensic investigators. They have chosen a group of piglets, just a piglet's body, because it seems like rather than doing investigation on a human body, a 1-year-old piglet has the same fat deposition throughout its body like a human body. So it is easy to study the decomposition on its body, which is very similar to how the human body will be decaying. So we are going to see the stages of decomposition here. What we have studied previously, we are going to see the pictures here, how it happens. So these are the living piglets, as you can see here, and the initial decay of the piglet, that is 0 to 3 days after death. And here we can see the coloration, the slight greenish coloration setting in immediately after the death. Okay, the decomposition, the first stage of decomposition which we described earlier, you can see here setting in the green coloration. Initial decay, that is 0 to 3 days after death, which is followed by, here you can see the fly attracted to the body immediately after the death. The blowflies found out the dead body and they are attracted. And they started laying the eggs on various orifices on the body, the openings of the body. So here you can see the eggs are attached to the hair, where they get a very nice place, a location to be attached to. The fly eggs are there. And then the next stage, you can see putrefaction, 4 to 10 days after death. Here this appears 4 to 10 days after death. You can see the body is bloated. Okay, it's bloated like a balloon because there is gases which fill from within the intestine due to the bacterial decay, and the body bloats up. It inflates like a balloon. The body has now bloated due to the buildup of gases within the tissues. And the bloated pig has now become attracted to a variety of insects. You can see here there are a number of insects that visit this body at this point. There are blowflies, there is carcass beetle, like that. A number of insects are attracted to this body, and they all started feeding and then laying eggs on the body. The fly maggot feeding just under the skin. We can see here the maggots, because the blisters started opening now, so they get entry inside the body. Here, black putrefaction. The next stage is known as black putrefaction. That is 10 to 20 days after death. Now what happens is the pig's body has been collapsed. You can see here the skin broken open, the gases escaped. So the bloating stage is past now. So as a result, when the gases escape, the body has been collapsed. Okay, it started shrinking and shriveling, and we can see large number of insects that move around the body and feed on it at this stage. Here, the pig is now very attractive to a variety of insects. You can see several different kinds of insects are there. It seems like when the forensic investigators calculated, at one point there can be sometimes more than 200 different species of flies that found on a dead body which is exposed outside. So it depends upon the stage of putrefaction. The types of flies which are attract will be also varied. And the body collapses. You can see as the gases and liquid escape from it, the body starts collapsing. And here, after 20 to 50 days of death, we can see the butyric fermentation. This is known as the butyric fermentation. All the softer body parts are gone almost. Now only the rough parts are there, the remaining tissue, like the skin, keratinized skin, the hair, and the bony parts of the body. All these things only remain. The rest of the soft flesh almost completely decayed. And the pig is now started drying out. Here you can see it dried out. Then only the toughest part of the body is remaining. And you can also see that the flies and maggots are also reduced a lot, because now they don't have a favorable condition to live there, so their numbers have been reduced greatly. Here you see 50 to 365 days, that means up to 1 year, it appears like this. There is nothing remains except the bone, the skin, a certain part of skin, and only the hairs. Nothing else remains here. It is not even recognizable as a pig now. We can see the bones are remaining here. The underside view of the body, after turning it down, it looks like this. Only the skeletal system. That also only few parts remain. All the softer parts are gone. Cartilages and everything is gone. So only the hardest parts remain. And here is a human face. Here, this is the fat that will be melting out after the death of a person. This is usually known as the grave wax, because usually in a grave where we bury the dead bodies, after a few days if we reopen and see, the stages of decomposition set in and it appears like wax because the fat start melting on the dead body. It is known as the grave wax. Okay, so that's it for today.